here we are.
We're here.
Goodness gracious. So welcome everybody to the first ever podcast. First episode of Coffee and Ketchup. This has been a wild few months, really. I mean, it really has not been that long from kind of conception to here we sit now, in this multi-million-dollar studio.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Did a great job.
But thank you all for tuning in and hopefully subscribing to this point. We figured we would just start out and kind of tell how it went from a simple idea to like I said, this multi-million-dollar studio. Brian, you want to go ahead and start?
I'd love to. Coffee and Ketchup got started, I guess we'll go back to September. I moved in with my brother down there on the end, Derek Lamar, and we our schedules are so different. Derek will be in the bed sometimes at 8 o'clock.
I work.
You do.
It's old.
I'll be getting home after 8. And so we kind of noticed that we weren't able to see each other during the week. So what we started doing is catching up on Saturday and Sunday mornings over a pot of coffee on the back porch, under the carport, sitting around just sharing with each other what we'd had going on during the week and just talking about our week and current events and things such as that. I guess a couple of months went by and we started jokingly talking about, man, we should have a podcast. We should do a podcast. And we both agreed, that would be funny. All the people that love my brother Derek and follow him on his Saturday night gig, which he'll talk about later, and my zany ideas and ridiculous thoughts that come through my brain at times. And so we jokingly talked about that. And then I'm driving down the road one day, probably a few months later, November, December, and Coffee and Ketchup came to my mind. I said, wow, I like that. So I called Derek and I said, hey, man, I got a name for the podcast. And it was all just kind of a dream in the beginning. We talked about, you going to be in the studio tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, 8 o'clock, man, I'll be there. And so we really were just talking about the back porch or the carport as in studio. And I told him the name, Coffee and Ketchup. He loved it. Fast forward a few months to maybe February or March.
Yeah.
I went down to the radio station on a Saturday night to give him some donuts, and he tells me throw on the headphones, and so I did, and he throws me on the air, and he says something about the podcast. We had been talking about having a podcast, and so I threw the name out there and put it out into the universe, Coffee and Ketchup. And lo and behold, had a friend down south come up with the logo and the shirts that you see on in the background. We got the Coffee and Ketchup logo and the banner, and once that was happening, I got with Chris. So
now, I think you probably need to explain. First of all, let me say that Brian is my baby brother. If you couldn't tell by the fact that he's got a lot more dark in his beard, but
Where?
You got to let everybody know where Chris comes in, the baby of the bunch, I guess we could say.
We can say. Chris and I work together, and Chris comes into my office one day, the same day I picked up the 2 T-shirts that we had made, and I called him in my office, and I said, you want to get on the ground level on something? In which he replied,
I said, Brian, this sounds like a pyramid scheme, I'll be honest with you. Sketched me out, And, I think you had said something like maybe a month before that. You had said something to me in the office, hey, me and Derek got this idea. Yeah. We think you'd be a good addition. What do you think? And I'm just like, he's kind of dumb. I don't know if he knows what that actually means. And I'm just like, oh, no, it sounds great, and I said that, and I immediately forgot anything about this thing. And then like a month later, he shows up, and he's got some coffee mugs and some T-shirts, and he's just like, I told you it's for real. Then I was like, okay, so this might be something for real, though. And then we ended up, not too long, maybe a couple weeks after that, we're like, listen, we're going to have a meeting, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to figure out how we're going to make everything work. How is this thing really going to look? And I was still kind of in the dark. It seemed to me like it was Two Brothers type of podcast with some dude invited. And I was just like, I have no idea. Why do they need me for this thing? And I come over to Derek's house for this first ever, podcast meetup. And he was just like, do you mind if I take some notes?
Old school.
And we're all just like, No. This man legit pulls out a legal pad and one of those like feather pens, like a quill, if you will, with the ink. You know, you dip it in the ink. You know, and I'm just like, oh, okay. So then, epiphany. I realized why I was invited to the podcast is because neither one of them know how to turn on a computer, and they have no idea how to like IT run a podcast or record video or. You know, he can talk on the radio. I think it's one of those wind-up radios from back in the day. You know, but as far as getting anything out there on YouTube or anything like that, he has no idea what to do. So I was kind of invited by necessity. You know, but I'm grateful for the invitation.
And two, it wasn't just that, though, because...
Mostly that.
All right, truthfully, mostly that. But also, too, I'd been around you and met you a few times, and I was like, yeah, I think this will hit off. And when Brian and I would do it under the carport or on the deck, he always had stories about you. I'm like, this guy's kind of off his rocker just like Brian is, so I think I could probably get along with him well. So here we sit.
What stories, Brian?
We'll get into those later on.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great time to talk about, Derek, kind of how this got off the ground. As you see the equipment that we have, the lights that you can't see, the microphones, the headphones.
Multi-million-dollar studio.
Yeah. Go ahead and
So, without this business, we honestly we wouldn't be sitting here.
That is correct.
Today. So we've got to thank our sponsor we have right now, Buckeye Preferred Services. Now, these guys have been in business for 35 years. They've been doing this, and if you say, what is Buckeye Preferred Services? Well, they're in the tree business. So 24-hour emergency, if something comes up, tree falls on your house, whatever the case may be, complete tree care and removal, stump grinding, lark clearing, brush cutting. They'll give free estimates, and they're also fully insured. They'll climb the tree, whatever they need to do. And they have a Facebook page out there. Again, it's Buckeye Preferred Services. I'll give you the phone numbers. Jot these down if you need any kind of tree work or stump grinding or whatever it may be. You can give them a call. They service, I spoke with the owner earlier, and they service all of the middle Georgia area, and they will go outside of that, you know, if there's a need. I think he said chainsaw will travel, I believe were his words. But you can call Buckeye Preferred Services at 478-484-2178 and also 478-278-5574 for all your tree needs, removal.
I think about my cousin Vinny. What are these things right here in front of this mobile home? Trees? And what are all these things on these trees? Leaves? Just shout out the answer when you know it.
That was a good one.
I had a friend like that in high school, man. He would know the answer to the question. It could have been 2 + 2, and he would always answer the question in the form of a question like he didn't know. What's 2 + 2? He'd say, 4? 4?
Cock the head to the side.
Goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am, as you said, I'm the baby of the group. I'm 34, almost 35. Getting on up there. I grew up in Macon, Georgia. I am a recovering drug and alcohol addict. I'll have 6 years clean this September. So we have definitely turned life around right here in my later years. But I, like Brian said, him and I work together. We both work in the field, in the substance abuse field. Been doing that for, I've probably been doing it 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
So I've been doing that, but I've got all kind of stories about, I'm not going to say a troubled past, but a lot of stupid decisions and the interesting things that can come from that. Also, real big into sports. Real big fan of the Braves and the Hawks and things like that. We're going to talk a lot about that kind of stuff too. I'm trying to think about what else might be interesting about me.
You're 7 foot tall. Is that would that be accurate?
7'2".
Okay.
7'2". That's correct.
I knew it was
correct. That's just kind of a little bit of background information on me. I'm a father. I'm a husband. and just general moron, actually.
Yeah.
It makes for a very exciting life. Not the most productive life always, but it's been fun.
Exciting nonetheless.
Exactly.
I'll go ahead and tell you about myself. Not a whole lot there either, really. As Chris did share with you, he and I do work together in the field of substance abuse. I've been doing that about 3 years. First and foremost, I am a father to 3 beautiful children. Love being a dad, as in a lot of cases, unfortunately, active addiction did take me out of their lives for quite some time, and I'm very blessed and fortunate to be back in their lives, and that's one of my biggest achievements in life is to be a dad. Big sports fan, as Chris shared with you as well. He claims to be a Hawks fan, and he is, but I will take credit for that. He didn't really follow the Hawks
That is true.
until about 2 years ago, I think, when they had their run into the Eastern Conference Finals.
2020.
And we went to a game in Atlanta, and I had told him, I said, man, you got to get on board with this team. I've been a Hawks fan for many years, spent lots of money, wasted lots of tears on these guys, and still do the same, but I am a Hawks fan through and through. We have a great time going up there to State Farm Arena in Atlanta, watching them play. Enjoy to go play golf. Horrible at it. I lose more balls than there are holes on the course. Still love to go play. And I, too, will periodically talk about the crazy, zany things that happen in active addiction, and even the things that happen now in my recovery. And one of the things that stick out to my mind, I guess, when I think about some of the wild and crazy things that I got into, I can remember one time sitting around a campfire in high school, and my friends and I were partaking in different things, and I looked at them. It was probably the middle of the winter. I looked at them and very seriously asked the question, you think if fires were cold, we would build them in the summer? Something to think about. Derek, tell us about yourself.
So,
If
I will say, I am the father to 2, I may say, good-looking youngins.
I agree.
They're not that young, but father of 2. You mentioned radio a while ago. I do a request show every Saturday night from 7 until 12. It's classic country music. I've been in radio, I would say close to 30 years. Again, that's just I do that on Saturday nights. That's just my side job, and I will say that this podcast has nothing to do, is in no way affiliated with State Broadcasting, the station that I work for on Saturday nights. I have another part-time job where I work on Friday nights at Shamrock Beverage Mart, and you can figure that one out, I guess, what we do there. You must be 21 to come through there unless you're purchasing a soft drink or some sort.
Get your money up.
And then during the week, I spend my Monday through Friday gig is in transportation, in warehousing. So do that. That's what pays the bills. But my 2 side hustles, and as you said, coming by the station that night and bringing me the donuts, and that I've done that. I have a passion for that, I guess you would say. I've been in radio for 30 years altogether, since I was right before I turned 16. So my mom was taking me to my job the first few months until I could drive myself, but enjoyed doing that. So hobby-wise, y'all spoke on that. I'm not as much of the sports buff as these 2 guys are. I don't believe I've played golf, Brian, it's been 4 or 5 years easily. I don't have the patience for it, I guess. Have too high of a standard, knowing that I can't meet the standard on that. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
I do want to say this. I can remember when you were 15 and 16, very shortly after you started working at that first job at the radio station. And I would go with you out there. You probably don't remember a lot of this, but you would set me off in one of the studios where I was by myself. There were 2 turntables and all kind of tapes. I would plug them in, and I would be on a microphone like this, and I would record myself coming up with the craziest of stories, wanting to be a stand-up comedian as a child, growing up thinking that I had what it took to be a stand-up comedian, and I would get the applause by sticking in one of them recorded reels of people applauding like they were in this big music hall. And I can remember making these tapes, and I don't know if that was where the idea was born within me to do this, but I'm telling you, this has been a dream of mine for, I know, 15 years. To be doing a podcast. I had several different ideas with several different people in the past, and obviously they never worked out. Some were pretty good, some were not so good. I won't share those with you now. But this right here, I'm just letting you know, it's just absolutely a dream of mine to be doing this and to be a part of this. Just absolutely, it blows my mind. I am so excited for what we're going to have.
Well, I don't think I've shared this with you, but when you started pitching this to me, I'm not being mean, but it kind of went in one ear and out the other. I was like, oh, this all sounds good, but this isn't happening, you know. And then when you told me, hey, I got his shirts and mugs, I was going, no way he did that. And then when you brought them up that day and you showed them to me, I was like, wait a minute, I think he is serious. And then all of a sudden it just kind of started snowballing until, here we are today, episode 1. Yeah.
And the overall goal is to entertain each other. Mm-hmm. To have a good time, have a conversation about what's going on in our lives, what's going on current event-wise. We'll say this without hesitation, no apologies made, staying away completely from politics and religion.
Yeah.
We don't want to offend anyone. We just want to have conversations about real life events, what's going on in our lives, and have some guests on from time to time. We're going to really key in on local guests here in the Dublin area. We do have already lined up. I'm going to go ahead and put a teaser out there. We've got an EMT from the Atlanta area that's got a whole lot to talk about. Really, really cool story. Will be coming in a couple of weeks. And also a very, very popular basketball coach from the area that's got an amazing story and has had an amazing life. So you're not going to want to miss those episodes coming real soon.
Yeah.
Chris, tell us about that mug, man. My goodness. What in the world?
So, listen. So, I'm much younger and much cooler than both of these guys. So, I'm a bit, well, I guess we could say a nerd. A geek.
I'll go there.
You know what I mean?
I would agree.
I hope that's socially acceptable. But I'm very big into like science fiction, Star Wars, anime, video games, all that kind of stuff. So we decided, since, when this first thing started, we only got 2 coffee mugs, that I would maybe on a monthly basis just kind of get a goofy novelty type mug to show off and explain a little bit. And I don't know if the camera can really pick it up too well, try to get it in there. But this is my huge Jabba the Hutt coffee mug.
Now,
that's right.
Chris, is that a mug or is that a pot?
That might be a pot.
I believe it might hold
a borderline Jabba the Hutt pot. Yeah. Yeah, and Brian's over like filling it up when I got over here.
As I poured it, he did not take out
the styrofoam.
The styrofoam.
It was a new mug.
There was just a little bit was broken off in there.
You say styrofoam, I'm pretty sure it was a marshmallow.
It looked like little chunks of marshmallow. And I was like,
marshmallow.
What kind of mug comes with pre-packaged marshmallows as you pour the pot of coffee in it?
It's a good question. I ate one a minute ago. That's why I coughed.
Not too bad.
It was not a marshmallow. No. Come to find out. Who knew? But yeah, so I'm gonna do a different mug occasionally, and give people something to laugh at, or whatever. Hopefully, some people in the comments will come and save me. Though, maybe some more Star Wars fans out there.
They're gonna need to.
Some more nerds out there, and we'll be able to get some backup before y'all old people beat me up.
Now, I want to say this.
Say it.
Off camera, we have another member of the team.
Yeah.
And you will hear us often refer to her, Sydney, pull up coffee mugs. Sydney, pull up Star Wars. Or Sydney, pull up the score of the Denver Nuggets Miami Heat game on Friday night. It's not Sydney. It is my niece. And her name is being said. Sydney. To keep all you boys out her inbox. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't play about that one right there. I don't play about my girls, and I certainly don't play about my niece. So we're really happy to have Sydney as a part of the show, and
she helps us out.
She keeps us straight.
Yeah, she's a big part of it, and just remember, prison wasn't that bad, It was all right, I could go for another round if I needed to, no problem.
I'll be that guy behind the 7'2" Chris going, I'm going to tell you right now.
Yeah, he's the one that's going to talk me up and get in a fight.
I do that at work sometimes.
Yeah. If you say that again, I'll get Chris over here.
I'm going to get him. I learned at an early age, man. It wasn't about what you knew. It's about who you knew. Kept me out of a lot of trouble. Speaking of that, that's a true story. Derek's not going to tell you much about himself, but I'm going to throw him out there all the time. I'm not going to tell you what city I was in, but I was riding one night in the car and had a tail light out. True story. I've already told you. And Derek, I was coming down the road, and this police officer falls in behind me and blue lights me, turns me over. And so I hand him my driver's license, and as he approaches the car and got my hands on the steering wheel, I know the gig, I know the position, and he comes up, this is no lie, he comes up, looks at my ID and sees my first and last name and says, "Do you have a brother?" I said, "I do, I have two of them." He said, "One of them Derek?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Have a good night."
Golly.
I'm telling you.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what city I was in.
I don't know.
I'm not going to tell you what city I was in.
That's good.
That's crazy. If you got pulled over with the last name Russ, they were probably going to pull you out of the car. You know what I mean?
Quickly.
Like one of my brothers get pulled over in Vegas. It's like, get on the ground.
You got
Do
a
you know
brother?
Chris Russ?
Is
Get
Chris
on the
one of
ground.
them? I'm going to need backup up in here. We need 3 souls.
Yeah.
3 cents, 3 cars.
Yeah. Whew. Goodness gracious. Oh man. Derek said earlier, thank you to Buckeye Preferred Services. We also wanted to thank everybody. We haven't even put out an episode as of recording this. This is our first one, and we've probably already got 20, 30, 40 followers on YouTube. Mm-hmm. People, are following our TikTok and our Facebook, and, family and friends have really kind of flocked together to support, what we're trying to do here. And I don't think we really have a whole lot of expectations. We're just going to kind of give this thing a shot. I think we got a good idea towards it, and obviously got some good support. Which is definitely what you need to try to venture out and do something like this. I think we're all very excited to kind of see where it goes. I can't believe how impactful the 2 shirts and 2 mugs were.
That's wild.
Especially hearing it from Derek too.
That's wild.
Because it was just kind of an idea.
Yep.
Until he comes with the logo that that you see behind us and
right.
on the shirts and the mugs that we've got. It was just kind of like an idea, and worse than an idea, a Brian idea, which is really not worth anything.
Hey, I can't take all the credit.
And then, and then I'll kind of see, here we are.
Here we are.
This is wild. It's crazy.
Big shout out to Sarah, my friend down south, that came up with the 2 shirts and really put the vision that I had on a shirt, on a coffee mug, and it really brought it to life. So just big shout out to her, my friend Sarah. Also a big shout out to Earl and Hannah at I don't know what they call the company down there. Forgive me for that, but big shout out to those 2 for helping us get the T-shirts printed up, the big banner behind us. So our family and friends, thank you guys so much for believing in us. We just want to let you know how much we appreciate that. It means the world to us.
Yeah. Thanks for the support and
Absolutely.
continued support.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Chris, I think you need to tell everybody how they can go on and follow and share with their friends as far as subscribing, and how do they go about doing that? Because Brian and I have no clue.
True.
How to get on TikTok,
Twitter, Talk,
Face Space,
Pitch Talk.
What is it?
So we've got a few different socials set up. Obviously, if you're watching this, you know about our YouTube. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you've liked this video, excited for any of the content that we've got coming soon. Make sure you want to turn your bell notifications on so you don't miss an episode. Anything we put out, you'll be immediately notified. And if you have something that you would like us to talk about, maybe a Dublin person that that you think would be fun to interview, maybe a guest suggestion, anything like that, we're going to be paying attention to the comment section. We're going to be looking at it. Obviously there's going to be some stuff that we're not going to talk about, but we're definitely going to look at those comments and take those into consideration. And look forward to y'all kind of being involved in what y'all want to see and having some input. We also have a TikTok and a Facebook and a Twitter. And we're going to be kind of updating those with some pretty fun things. And, kind of just notifications about what's to come in future episodes and when episodes drop. I'm going to try my very hardest to have a new video scheduled to come out on YouTube. And pretty soon, Google Podcasts, Mondays at 12. Mondays at 12 is when I'm going to have them scheduled to upload it. So you can be on the lookout for those then. Coffee and Ketchup without the ampersand.
Nice.
Is pretty much our handle for Twitter, and TikTok and Facebook. Make sure you pay attention to the logo behind us. Either the mug or the entire logo is going to be our main banner and logo for all of our social media stuff. So if you're not sure, if this doesn't look right, be sure to pay attention for that logo and the microphone coffee mug. That's how you can kind of differentiate which one is us and which one is not.
Now, Chris, are we not going to have one on MySpace?
We are probably not going to do a MySpace. MySpace has not been around for probably 10 years.
Okay, cool.
We're not going to advertise in the newspaper.
We don't need to waste time on that.
You know, there's no penny pincher. So
Very good.
everybody, please just bear with me. This is what I'm dealing with.
Very good.
So we're going to try to get there.
We're glad to have you, Chris.
Thank you. Well, you're glad. I'm glad you need me. You know.
You're doing a great job.
Yeah. You know what I mean. I pretty much have to be here. So
You're the Martha Washington to George.
I don't get the joke. I'm 35, 34, 35, whatever I am. It's not. I don't get it. Anything else? Anything else?
No, I just want to say thanks to everyone for viewing and for
Absolutely.
subscribing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll see where this thing goes.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you like it, you enjoy it, and you're entertained by it, send it to your friends, man. Share it
Yeah.
across these platforms that Chris speaks of.
That's right. Right there at the bottom right of
Platforms.
this video.
I knew platforms. That's
good.
That's
That's
not
good.
bad. Platforms.
Right there at the bottom right video on this platform, there should be a share button. Please share it to your friends. You know, anybody else you think might enjoy this. Just spread the word. Get the word out. We're very excited to see where this thing goes.
Very excited.
We're excited to see some of the people who are going to be here from the beginning, you know. Y'all can kind of come along on this journey with us and see where this thing goes.
Love it.
I wanted to sing "Come Along and Ride on a Fantastic Voyage" right there, but you guys said no singing in the first episode, so I won't.
I thought we said no singing in any episode.
That was for Brian only.
Okay, well.
Well, all right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Like I said, Mondays at 12 o'clock, be excited. This actually will be airing on the 12th, and we will kind of start every Monday beginning with June 12th. We're going to have new material, new episodes out. Y'all be on the lookout. Thanks, y'all, for listening.
Big shout out. Thank you.